Hello friends, today's topic is clause, not Santa Claus. This is a topic of grammar. So let us discuss. First of all, we have to know what is clause. So we all know clause is a group of words. So next question you will ask, sentence is also a group of words. Then what is the difference between clause and sentence? Clause is a part of a sentence. A sentence gives complete meaning, whereas clause may sometimes gives complete meaning, sometimes may not give complete meanings. This is the basic difference between a sentence and a clause. A clause always have a subject and a verb. Then you can also ask what is the difference between clause and a phrase. So unlike phrase, clause can give complete or incomplete meaning depending upon its types. If it is main clause, it will always give complete meaning. If it is independent clause, it will give incomplete meaning. For example, she sings. This is a clause and it is giving complete meaning. And also it has subject and a verb. Subject is she and sings is a verb. Because she sings well. This is also a clause, but it does not give complete meaning. But it has subject she and verb sings. So you will find wherever there is clause, you will always find subject and a verb. Let us see the difference between phrase and a clause. So what is the difference between a phrase and a clause? Phrase is also a group of word, clause is also a group of word. But clause will always have a subject and a verb, whereas phrase does not have a subject of its own or a verb of its own. Clause may sometimes give meaning or sometimes half meaning, whereas phrase cannot give a complete meaning. It always gives half meaning. For example, in the park, this is an example of phrase. She plays in the park. This is an example of clause. So now we will see the types of clause. So generally clause is divided into two types, main clause or subordinate clause. Main clause is also known as independent clause. Dependent clause is also known as subordinate clause. So both are same, main clause, subordinate clause, independent clause or dependent clause. So what is main clause? If the name suggests it is independent clause, so it will not depend on other part of the sentence for its meaning. So it has a complete meaning, it expresses complete thought. It can stand alone as a sentence. For example, I like coffee. This is an example of main clause because it is not dependent on any other sentence or other part of the sentence for its meaning. It has a meaning of its own. So we can call it main clause or independent clause. She is reading a book. This is also an example of main clause because its meaning is complete. It is not dependent on other clause for its meaning. Whereas dependent clause or subordinate clause, it cannot stand alone, means it cannot have a meaning of its own. It has to be dependent on the main clause to complete its meaning. For example, because I was tired. So this is clause, but it does not have a complete meaning. I slept early because I was tired. Now this is complete sentence. So I slept early. This is main clause because it has meaning of its own. Because I was tired, this is subordinate clause because its meaning is dependent on the main clause. I slept early. So this way you can differentiate. If you just put a hand over the independent clause and see the meaning of the remaining sentence. If it is giving the complete meaning, it will be called independent clause. And if it is not giving the complete meaning, it will be called dependent clause. Subordinate clause are further off. Many types. Generally, we study noun clause, adjective clause, and adverb clause. So subordinate clause can be classified into three types: noun clause, adjective clause, adverb clause. Just like phrase, we have noun phrase, adjective phrase, adverb phrase. Also prepositional phrase is also there, but generally we don't study. So let us see what is noun clause. So A, the name suggests noun clause. So it will function as a noun. Noun clause will function as a noun. Just as noun phrase, it functions as a noun. Similarly, noun clause will function as a noun. So what is the function of noun? Noun sometimes function as a subject, sometimes acts as an object, or sometimes complement. So noun clause will perform the similar function. Here is an example for you. I know that she is honest. So this is an example of a sentence. So the read part, the underlined part, that she is honest. This is noun clause. Why? Because here it is acting as an object of a sentence. And we know noun acts as an object. So I know. I is the subject. I is the subject and know is the verb. And that she is honest. This is acting as an object. So we can say this is a noun clause. What he said is true. Here in this sentence, second number of sentence, what he said, here it is acting as a subject of a sentence. So again, this is a noun clause. What he said, this is a noun clause. This is a noun clause because here it is the subject of a sentence. My belief is that hard work pays off. So my belief is. So again here that hard work pays off. This is acting as a complement of a sentence. So we can call this as a noun clause. So noun clause can function, can act as a subject, as an object, or a complement of a sentence. So let us move on to the next type of clause, adjective clause. So what is adjective? You know, adjective are describing words. Adjective qualifies a noun or a pronoun. Similarly, adjective clause will qualify a noun or a pronoun. It usually starts with who, which, that, whose, whom, where, when. The girl who is singing is my friend. So in this sentence, first you have to know where is the noun. So the girl is the noun. And we know adjective qualifies a noun. Similarly, adjective clause will qualify a noun. So here noun is the girl. So who is singing? So what type of girl? Which girl? The girl who is singing. So here who is singing, giving extra information about the girl. So here this is an example of adjective clause. The book that you gave me is interesting. So which book? The book that you gave me. So that you gave me, this part is describing about book. So what type of book? That you gave me. So this is an example of adjective clause. This is the place where I was born. So where I was born, this is an example of adjective clause because this part where I was born is describing the noun place. So please keep in mind adjective clause will always qualify the noun in the sentence, and it will always start with word like who, which, that, whose, whom, where, when. So these are the uh, identification marker of adjective clause. Let us move to the next clause, adverb clause. So first of all, we should know what is adverb. Adverb clause will function as an adverb. So adverb we know qualifies a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. So similarly, adverb clause will also functions like adverb. It will qualify a verb or another adjective. Generally, it is used to show time, region, condition, contrast, purpose, result, manner, comparison. And how do we know that the particular clause is adverb clause? So simply it will start with word like because, when, if, although, so that, as, before, after. So it will start with subordinating conjunctions. What are subordinating conjunctions? These are the subordinating conjunctions. Because, when, if, although, so that. What is conjunction? Conjunction is a word used to join two words or a sentence. Here are some example of adverb clause. I left early. So why did I leave early? The reason here is because I was unwell, because I was not feeling well. So this is an example of adverb clause, adverb of reason. She will come if you invite her. So again, if you invite her, this is condition. So adverb of condition. So if you invite her is an example of adverb clause. We stayed inside until the rain stopped. So until the rain stopped. This shows time, adverb of time. So this is an example of adverb clause. Although he was poor, he was honest. So contrasting sentence. He was poor, though he was honest. So, although he was poor, this is an example of adverb clause. So let us revise what we have studied so far. So we have seen what is clause. So clause is a part of a sentence. It has a subject and a verb. It may give a complete meaning sometimes, or it may not give complete meaning. Then what is the difference between clause and a phrase? Clause may give meaning sometimes or may not give. Whereas phrase, it always has incomplete meaning. Phrase does not have a subject and a verb. Clause have a subject and a verb. Clause has a subject and a verb. This is the basic difference. Phrase has no subject and a verb, whereas clause has a subject and a verb. So here is a funny trick for you to remember. Sometimes you forget, you get confused between clause, sentence, and phrase. So this trick will help you to remember, help you to just recollect the concept. So think of Santa Claus. Whenever you read Claus, think of Santa Claus. So Claus is like Santa Claus, and we know Santa. Santa is the name of a just person. So it is functioning like a subject. So clause will have a subject, and we know Santa Claus always brings gift. So subject will always take verb. So clause is a group of sentence having a subject and a verb, subject and a predicate. So if Santa Claus does not have both subject and verb, he cannot deliver its gift. His gift. So we can say that clause means Santa Claus, or clause here means it will always have a subject and a verb. So if subject or verb is missing, then that cannot be called a clause. You may call it a phrase. So I hope you have understood what is clause, what is phrase, what is sentence. Thank you.